Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to I Am the Universe podcast with Martin Cowart. And I'm so excited about my guest today, Christina Whiteley. I am wildly excited. We are both from the same planet. I don't know where in the galaxy we're from, but we connected a few weeks ago and I was on her show and she's on mine. And we're definitely from whatever planet we're from, we are from the same planet because we're having a ball getting to know each other. I'm in a blast. I'm having so much fun. We just had a few minutes backstage and we just had so much fun. So Christina, tell us a little bit about what the big aha, the big awareness that our listeners are going to come away with today after listening to our inspiring conversation.
Oh, I am so excited for this conversation because I know that there are people out there that need to hear it. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about overcoming failure and using it to propel ourselves forward. And we're going to talk about how you can view things a little bit differently and that, you never have to have a grand picture of everything. You just need to know what the next right step is for you right now. And when you start operating from that zone of genius, that space where you know what you know, what you know, and you're in alignment, then all of a sudden, new opportunities, new people, new connections, all of that pops up. And you got to stay tuned. This could be a really great conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because that's exactly what we do. We transmute our fear into love, and that's how we create the future.
That's right.
That's how we create success. So
That's
I'm
right.
looking forward to it. But before we get onto that, I want to every week we like to dedicate our show to one of my influencers. And it turns out this is also one of Christina's influencers, and that's Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm going to tell you a funny story. For years, I thought he was a little bit of a quack. You know, I'm going to be honest. He would start talking and the way he talked and the way he led. I was like, I wasn't ready for him. And then about a couple of years ago, somebody was on my show and she was explaining about the quantum field and what it meant. I said, oh my God, what the quantum field is exactly the same thing as what Jesus called the kingdom of heaven. Is that what Joe's teaching? She said, yeah. I said, maybe I should pay attention. So I started paying attention to him again. And really, he is like a modern day Jesus in a lot of ways, because what we know today from science is that the quantum field is a place of non-duality. It's a place of unity. It's a place of oneness. It's a place of
Yeah.
it's the highest form of human consciousness, the quantum field. And so I want to dedicate this episode to Joe Dispenza because he talk about someone who is leading a movement to wake us up on this planet to our zone of genius, to that unconditional love energy that is the essence of what we are. It is him. I mean, he is doing a brilliant job. So if any of you who are listening, if you've not listened to some of his guided meditations, just go onto YouTube and listen to some of his stuff. It is and try to listen without I need a lot of judgment, because it is a little strange at first. But I promise you, if you just quiet your mind and just listen to him and feel the vibration of what he's trying to help you do, he's here to help us.
Yeah.
He's like Christina and I. He is on a mission to wake people up to who we truly are. We are the universe. You are the universe. We are the universe, with all those wonderful, loving, creative superpowers to create our future. That's what we are. We're creators. So, Christina, how did you come into this awareness? What was your life a little before you became aware that you were actually the
Ooh.
universe itself with all these creative powers?
Man, it was completely different. And I want to also address what you said about Dr. Joe because I remember looking back on meditation for many, many years. I did a lot of personal development, but I was like, meditation? You want me to sit there for a few minutes and not say anything and not think? I'm too busy to do that. Like that's really what went through my head. Like this is kind of for the birds. Like, do people really take half an hour a day to do this? I don't have time for this, right? And so I really, and I didn't get it until I got involved. And somebody gave me the book Supernatural by Dr. Joe, and I read it, and I was like, wait a second, there is something to this, and there is something to the feeling of being connected to the universe, and what does that look like for me? So I'll tell you a little bit about my story. And by the way, it's pretty normal to be seen as a quack if you're a leader because you do things that are popular before they're popular, right? You're the one that's trailblazing. So it can be really difficult. And so we'll talk a little bit about that today. But I'm a small town girl. I come from a town of about 10,000 people. I think right now there's 17,000 people there, like many, many, many years later. Okay. So really small town on the west coast of British Columbia, a little mill town where everybody knows everybody's business. And I grew up there and I had a huge passion for music. I was really, really outgoing. And, everyone always said that I exuded confidence, but I didn't feel confident inside. I was bullied from about grade 2 on, and it really impacted me. I thought, what's wrong with me? Why don't people like me? Like I want to be around everybody. I love everyone. I don't understand why people would treat me this way. It doesn't make sense to me. And it wasn't until like years and years and years later, I had a mentor say, "Hey, have you ever read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks? Have you read that book yet, Martin?" Right.
Good look, good look.
Yeah, and so I read it and I was like, this makes sense. My whole life, people have around me have been telling me, Christina, be quiet. Christina, don't be so loud. Christina, like basically putting a cap on who I was, even though I was this like vibrant, exuberant person. And I didn't realize that that light that I was putting out, that's why I was being bullied, because I was so different that people were throwing mud on me because it was too bright to be around. And I didn't know that for many years. Many years I thought something was wrong with me. Many years I didn't believe in my own capabilities. Many years I went through life asleep. In my early 20s, I went to school for music because it was my passion, but I really wasn't somebody that was good at high school, or like I was good. I got good grades, but I didn't really like school. I'm a doer. I love learning. I love people. So like I would just go to university and fall asleep in every class. Didn't make a lot of friends that way. Right? It just wasn't for me. And I realized that that wasn't the environment that I was really great in, but I had expectations set in from my parents that I had to go and get a degree. Now, I am about 2 classes short of a music degree, and I backed out because I'm like, I'm just done with this whole thing. This is not what I want. It took the joy out of singing for me to go to school for music. But what it made me realize is that I really wanted a family. I wanted to raise my daughter in a way that she could really become who she wanted to be no matter what. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to travel. I wanted to do all these things, but I didn't realize how that was going to happen. So I went to school for music. I dropped out, and then I went to school for hair. So I started working for myself eventually, and I had a salon and on-site wedding business, all the while failing forward, right? All the while, my mindset was, I came from a blue collar family that we get a job, we work it for 40 years, we live off of our pension and healthcare, and then we retire on a fixed income. And like the more I thought about that program, the more I was like, this sounds terrible. I don't want to live on a fixed income. Like I don't. That's what's the point, right? And that was always the underlying feeling is like, what's the point? Like I want to help people. I want to love people. I want to show them who they're meant to be. I want to believe in them and show them that they can be so much more. And so I got a piece of that when I did hair. I could give people a really great haircut or a really great color, and they leave feeling more confidence and confident and brighter. I thought, okay, this is something that I make people feel good, or I made them look amazing on their wedding day, which was one of their most important days, right? And that was lovely, but it wasn't fulfilling. It was a job, right? And so I had a really bad shoulder injury late into my pregnancy and had to stop doing hair completely. And I was scared. I was 7 months pregnant. I had zero income. And I was like, what am I going to do now? Because I can't do what I have set myself up to do. And so I got into some online marketing about 7 years ago. I haven't had a real job since. And so I realized the power of the internet and connecting with people all over the world, much like you. And you've connected with people all over the world and created an impact and helped people in a way that is far bigger than yourself. Right. And I realized, oh my gosh, there's another way to live. There's another way to go about this. And this is what we're kind of talking about behind the scene, right? Is that there's so many people that operate out of fear, and they make decisions based on fear every single day of their life, how to protect themselves, how to stay safe, how to be secure. But I got to tell you something, the world opens up to you when you operate in love, right?
Amen. Isn't that the truth? Because that's what we are when we operate in that acceptance. And let's just play with this a little bit about fear and love. They're basically only two. We'll break it down to two emotions. There are emotions that come from fear, and there's emotions that are originated in love. And we know exactly which ones they are,
Mhm.
because fear makes us feel bad. And those emotions, we feel bad sometimes. we don't feel as good. We feel disempowered. When when we're feeling love, when we're feeling this pressure, we're feeling gratitude and compassion and love and empathy and kindness. We're coming from love. So those are the two basic energy sources that we are either plugged into. And life is really about navigating. The human life is about navigating between through life. If we were just pure light loving energy, which we are before we're manifested as humans, we just go out into the world as light loving. But when we become human, now we become a form.
Yeah.
And that form, in order for it to manifest, it has a brain, it has an ego, it has a sense of identity. And we need that in order to have something to hit, to create some energy, to manifest that fear into love. And when we do that, we create our future. Now, I don't know, that was a little complex. So if you understand, I want to put you on the spot and ask you to take what I just said and try to make it sound a little simpler.
Well, yeah, so I will, because I want to tell you something, and I'll share a little bit of my story with you. My husband and I, we left Canada in October of 2021. We had a really, I had been building business online. We had a great stream of income. We had a couple of different streams of income. But my husband and I had a really rough 2021. We were trying to grow our family. I had a couple of miscarriages. I didn't have, because of COVID, I didn't have very much medical support. And I was going into a depression. Like, nobody tells you that you have a miscarriage and you can also have postpartum depression on top of that. So I was going through a depression, and I knew that I wasn't okay. I knew that, like, my heart and my soul, like, didn't feel like myself. My husband wasn't okay. There was just all the lockdowns. Like, it just finally gets to you. It just
Yeah.
got to us, right? And then my daughter was in school for a couple of months, and I just said, this isn't what we want for her either. Like, she's not happy. She's got anxiety with all of these things going on, and I don't. She deserves to be a kid. She doesn't deserve to go to school and wear a mask and be scared and do all of these things at school. Like, I didn't want that life for her, and so we decided that we were going to homeschool her. And my husband came home and he said, Christina, what if we went and homeschooled her from the beach? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, like, you had a work trip in Cabo that we were going to go to, but we decided against it because of all of these restrictions and all that kind of stuff. But he's like, what if we went on that trip and just stayed for a few months? And at the time, I'm not going to get teary, but at the time, I didn't realize it was his desperate attempt to save me and to save my mental health and give me a break of everything that we had been going through.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, start the car. Like, I can't believe you'd ever be up for this. Like, let's go. Right. And so we packed 7 suitcases. One was filled with Christmas presents. And then one was filled with stuffies for my daughter. We packed 7 suitcases and we came to Mexico. And that was a huge, a very educated decision after the conversations we'd had over the last couple of years, but it kind of surprised our family at the time. And I remember thinking, we have to do this for us. We can't stay here in this environment to make our families happy or friends happy. Like, we have to do something for us, for who we are, for our values, for how we want to raise our family, what we want to be a role model for our child. And so we came here, and I got off the plane and the anxiety dissipated. I instantly felt a new rejuvenation, energy. I felt like I could finally relax. I wasn't in fight or flight anymore. And something shifted in both of us, and we realized we had been operating in fear and under not duress, but we had been operating in a way that we thought we had to make everybody else around us happy.
Yeah, yeah, that is a much simpler way of doing it, because this is the thing, Christina, and this is what I say all the time, is that somewhere between 80 and 90% of all of our problems are based on the story we're telling ourselves
Yeah.
about who we are as human beings. That is not true. So
Yes.
all that fear and all that anxiety back in your home, you were trying to live up to being something that you weren't, and you weren't getting there, because that's not the universe working with you. The
That's right.
universe is trying its best to wake us up to being the truth of who we are. And what I tell people all the time, if you're telling yourself you're anything less than the universe itself, you're telling yourself a lie. quit telling yourself that you're not, that you got to live up to being whatever that is. I was trying to live up to being a very successful wealth manager and all that love. I was miserable because that was not who I was. I'm so much bigger than that. You're so much bigger than that. We are the universe itself. Why live small? And I think, yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is the whole point, right? Is that like if you realize that you are the creator of your life, how would you be operating differently? Like, would you not be running to take action to get what you want immediately and find people that could help you do that? You would be moving it forward as fast as possible. And in that operation, that zone of genius, that place of love, guess what happened when we came to Mexico? All of these opportunities started showing up. All of these things were in alignment. And still, for about a year, I wasn't really open about the move because I feared judgment. I feared hurting people back home. I feared all of those things that people would say, "Oh, you're crazy. You moved from Canada to Mexico." And guess what? When I finally did open up my heart and said, this is why we did it. This is what we were going through. There was a lot of hate that got put on us. There was a lot of projection from people around the world. But guess what? The good came. And I think sometimes people think that adversity isn't supposed to happen, that you're not supposed to have any of those things that are difficult happen. It's just supposed to be like a straight line up. And no, even when you're operating in your zone of genius, there's going to be other conflicts. There's going to be challenges. But all of a sudden, when you are brave enough to stand in your truth, guess what? The newspaper called and wanted me to start writing for them. We had a big, huge newspaper in the UK write an article about us. We had opportunities to be able to partner with different businesses in Mexico and help them build business. My business has taken off, and I've been able to coach in a different way and in a higher level to help people that are really, truly ready to take action. Like everything is now in alignment because we had the courage and the bravery to follow what was inside of us and do what was outside of the norm.
Wow, I love that. And that is like a game plan for anyone out there listening to hear a real life story of how she transmuted that fear and took action. She had the courage to say, I'm going to feel this fear. I don't like feeling the fear. I don't like feeling, so I want to do something about it. The universe is calling me to go to Mexico with my child and my family so that we can be at peace, really. That's really what you were looking for. You want, I got to get somewhere where I can be at peace.
Yeah.
And when you went to Mexico, listen to your heart against all that rational stuff that you said, why you can't do that. You did what your heart called you to do, and you went and you found that peace. And when we find that peace, there's just no going back because we taste that. And that is what the universe feels like. When you're in your zone of genius, you're at peace. You're at a deep peace. There is no fear. There's no competition. There's no worry about time because you're the universe and you've got all that love within you. There's nothing to be afraid of.
And everyone's seeking love, right? Everyone out there is seeking love. So if you are love, if you are the universe, how many people are going to be seeking you?
That's what shifted in my business too. As I've shifted to this new format of I Am the Universe podcast, people want this love. And like you say, I've gotten people out of the blue reach out to me about wanting to talk to me about being their coach, their one-on-one coach. They're coming to me. I'm not going. That's the beauty about when you're not out there selling yourself so hard. You're just out there telling your story, and people are showing up. I'll tell you one quick story that I've been so excited about. It really set me in the direction. I was at the Diocese of Newark's annual convention as a deputy from the church. And I was sitting there and this guy came up to me and he's a stranger and he says, can I sit here? I said, sure. And he asked me what I did. I said, I'll tell him about this project I'm doing in Africa to educate people and bring them out of unemployment. And he said, listen for a while. And he said, would you like some money? I said, yeah. I said, would $5,000 help? I said, damn right it would help. He says, you don't know who I am. I said, I have no idea, but I'm delighted you want to give me $5,000 for our cause. And he said, I am the chair of Oasis, which is the LGBTQ outreach ministry for the Diocese of Newark. And also, this is the universe. This is a whole organization that's in business to build loving communities all over the world. This is what we've been talking about all throughout the convention was the bishops letting us know that the universe is at work creating a new type of church, a new church built on with people, not so much about buildings, but communities built out of with lay people like me out of love to build loving communities. And I thought, wow, this is just showing up.
Yeah, because you're in your zone of genius, because you're operating in alignment, because you have, and like Dr. Joe is really helpful with this, right? Like I always envision what's next. I always, like, I know I'll be speaking on big stages, right? Like I've spoken on small stages, but I know I'll be speaking on big stages because that's the vision that I hold. And it's all of these little things. Like as long as you have that vision, all the little pieces, all the how, all the credibility, everything starts showing up to build you into the human that is capable of doing these big things that you envision and that you dream about, right? And
Yes.
so when we shift into that space and no longer do things out of fear because we got to pay our bills and we have to worry about what's happening next, no, but in a place where I'm going to serve you at the highest level. I'm going to give you everything that I have. I'm going to help you get the result. Like that's the difference most out of most people. And this is why I'm so happy we're having this conversation. Most people have a bit of their ego in it, right? And so they're in it to do, to make, to be. They're in it to make money. They're in it to do it so that they create some sort of professional profile or some sort of recognition that they'll get, right? But if you shift that and realize that your core focus is helping the group of people that you need to help and getting a result from those group of people, like the joy that you will find in helping people get what they want will pay you not only spiritually, but will pay you really, really well too. And like you said, you don't have to sell anybody on it. People start coming to you because they know what you can give.
Because you're always giving it.
Mm-hmm. This
You're
is how you
always
show up.
giving it, and people will show up for that. And oh my God, that is so absolutely spot on. And it's so much more fun that way, isn't it?
Way
You
more
know,
fun.
that whole idea, I had to come, we all have, this is the thing we gotta be careful of in our own sort of American culture and Canadian cultures, I think probably as well. We're very narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
We are narcissistic. I mean, and so what we do is we create an agenda that we think other people that will great agendas is going to benefit the world, all these wonderful buzzwords, but it's not the universe's agenda. It's still Martin's agenda. And my mind is thinking, if I do these things, then I will get these things and I will be successful. When what you're saying and what I'm saying is no, start with be who you are, be the universe, be that loving presence in the world, and do what loving the universe does, and you will have all the things of the universe. And that is, for me, a very wild and exciting life.
Yes, it is. I can't believe that we're here. I can't believe that we're here. I can't believe it keeps showing up. Like people keep messaging me and the right people keep coming in, the right opportunities. And it's because now we are sitting and being wholeheartedly ourselves and helping people at a higher level, people that are just like us, right? People that are looking for a solution in this crazy world, that are looking for purpose. Right. I think over the next 10 years, what's going to be really interesting is seeing how things shift in the economy and how we do business. Because what's interesting now is with AI, right? Like Chat GPT, all these things that are coming out. Look at you, A New Earth. That's exactly it, right? That's such a great book.
Awakening to your life purpose.
It is going to be so important over the next 10 years because AI is going to start taking over all of these minuscule things. You are going to have to find your purpose and live it so that you feel fulfilled. It's not going to be working a job to pay the bills and hating it because you're not going to make it, right? There's going to be other things that'll take over that job. Like what makes you unique? What gifts are you bringing? What are you channeling through the universe that you are here to do? If you sit quietly for a little while, that answer comes really loud and clear. And
And if
right?
you're not listening, you'll end up being miserable because you're not paying,
Absolutely.
because you're in, because what it is, it's a shift to the universe is trying its best. She's trying her best to show us this wonderful life on planet Earth. And it's not the way we think it should be. And our friends think it should be, and our family think it should be. So we resist it and we live in fear of it and live in love of this thing that doesn't exist.
That's right.
When we wake up, we realize we flip that. Let's love what really is. as wake up and become aware of what we really are. And then we can have everything else we want. And all that other stuff just becomes irrelevant because we're actually making a difference in the world. We're living in alignment. We're living in loving alignment with the universe itself. We're not in resistance. So of course life is struggling. If you're out there struggling and resisting in fear and I don't want to do this, you're fighting the whole universe. Let it go. Get in the flow.
Yeah. Well, what do they say? Like, leave it to God, right? Like, leave it to the universe, leave it to God, leave it out there and take the time to follow your heart and learn the things that you want to learn and serve the people you want to serve, right? Amateurs find a product or a service and try and sell it to people. Whereas professionals and people who are in alignment, they find a group of people that they truly want to help and they serve them at a high level, and those people go on to create results and over will refer you, will bring new people into your life, will continue to cultivate culture and community, right? It's just a different way of looking at things. All of us have a filter. And so it's a filtered way of looking. And if you can step outside of your filter and go and look at your life and look at the people you're serving from a balcony view and then reassess and pivot and adjust course, that practice will continue to put you down a path that you're meant to be on.
I agree. And on that note, before we have to, I see it's coming up on the half hour, and I want to ask you one thing that because people are hearing this, and I think for some people who are this is new to, some people who are familiar with what we're talking about, they're just kind of enjoying the conversation, but there are people out there listening who are like, what are they talking about? The zone of genius and the universe. How would I even get started? How would I even find? How do I start? What's the first step? What would you suggest to people listening as just a simple, easy thing they could do today or tomorrow, this weekend, to help them begin to understand and see and feel into this higher level of consciousness we're talking about?
Oh, I love this question. And I also think that many people don't do this either, like meditation, but journaling. Like, I would recommend that you sit down for half an hour, and you write out your dream life. You grab a pencil, you grab a piece of paper, and you write out a day in the life of my perfect life. A day, what would it consist of? How would you get up? Where would you live? What would you be doing all day? Who would you be helping? Who would you be surrounding yourselves with? How do you when you leave this planet, right? You die twice in this world. You die when you take your last breath, and you die when the last person on earth utters your name. Okay? So you die twice. What legacy do you want to leave for people, for your family, for your friends, for your community, right? I encourage you to write that out because you may surprise yourself with what comes up.
I love that. So, and I do that. I've got journals all over the place, and I love them. And you're exactly right, because it gets everything out of your head. It gets
Mhm.
the ideas of what you say, but it also is a chance sometimes to get the nonsense out of your head, the things you don't
Yes,
want to do. And
that's right.
I've actually journaled and say, I'm really having a tough day today. I'm just keep running this negative story in my head, so I'll start writing that out and and then I'll try to rewrite it from a positive view.
I like that. I like the rewriting of, because a lot of the times we do get stuck in that rut of, I don't want this, I don't want this. The universe doesn't know if you say don't or do, can or can't. So
Right.
when you see that, you need to rewrite it in an affirmation. So I got to tell you this story because I'm going to do an interview next week. But I had a mentor once, and he said, for how hard you work, for what you've been through, you deserve a Hollywood deal. Like, you deserve a Hollywood deal for who you are and how you show up. And now what's happening, all the media stuff, all that kind of stuff. And so my new affirmation is, I make Hollywood deals daily. I make Hollywood deals daily, right? And I start to affirm that in my daily life. I start to look for it. Just like, if you want a vehicle, and like, I drive a Jeep, so everywhere I look, I see Jeeps, right? Or like, if you're trying to get, maybe this is not relevant to you, but if you're trying to get pregnant and you all of a sudden see pregnant people everywhere or people with babies everywhere, like, when you start looking
Right.
for your affirmation, when you start expecting it to show up, guess what happens? That energy shifts and opens up, and it starts showing up.
Exactly right. Because what it is, you've set a powerful positive intention, which removes the fear. And you know that if you set an intention, where there's a will, there's a way. When you set that intention, and we're not talking about Martin personal will, which can be a little scary, but we're talking about the will of the universe. And we put that intention out to the universe, which is what we are, the will of the universe, and that intention will help it manifest. So that's great. That's a great idea, journaling. And then and if, like I say, if in the moment the journaling is because there are days we're in a negative mode. We've all had them. It's because you wake up doesn't mean you don't still run into shadow and difficulties and challenges. But when you're in one of those challenges, you write the story of the challenge, and then write it again with a really good outcome. Take that challenging story that you're writing about. That's you're worried you can't how you're going to pay your bills. Just take it and write it out as the most. However it's coming out, and take a break, come back to it, and now turn the story, everything negative, because you don't know, it's just a story about the future. Take everything in the story and flip it into the positive and create the outcome you want to create.
Well, that's just it. And we've been conditioned, right? We're talking about flipping failure into success, right? We've been conditioned like from the time of little kids, what is good and bad, what is right and wrong, right? And we feel shameful when it comes to failing because we've been conditioned that way.
Right.
But what if you knew that failure was equal to success? Risk is equal to reward. And so, like, little risk, little reward, big risk, big reward. Guess what? You're going to fail along the way and there's going to be stuff in the middle, but that failure is actually just an opportunity to evaluate and adjust course. It's an opportunity to learn. So every time I have a conversation that doesn't end very well, I'm like, how could I have done that better? How could I have communicated better? Every time I have a business launch or something that didn't work out, what could I have learned from that? What could I have done better? Who could I have learned to do that from? That I would have had a better result, right? Instead of being like, oh my gosh, that went so bad, right? People sit in that bad feeling for what, right? Now that you know better, do better. That sentence has saved my life. Now that I know better, I'll do better. I'm not going to feel shameful, feel bad, feel angry, feel depressed about something that I made a mistake on. I'm human, right? So now I'm going to learn from that mistake and just move forward and not make it ever again.
Let me ask you a question. This is my show. I can go over I want to. I don't have this conversation, but let me say this. So does it ever happen to you that at the end of the day, I've had a very successful day. I've had all these things and I've had a really great day. And yet my ego will say, well, you didn't get this done. You didn't do that. You didn't do this. You should have done
Every
that.
day, every day.
And I'm like, really? And I'll just stop and I'll think, well, what would you suggest that I do that I didn't do? And then I'll just flip that around because I know if it's a negative attack on me, it's coming from my shadow.
That's right.
And the best way to deal with the shadow is to confront it with the truth. And what I'll say is, that's not true. I had a very successful day. I met so many wonderful, and I'll just lay out all the things that happened that day that moved the needle forward. And it just
the
goes
evidence. The evidence.
I give my ego the truth evidence of what happened that day. I had this wonderful podcast with my friend Christina Whiteley. We had a ball. That is success. I don't know what you're talking about that I should have done that I didn't do. But today, yes, this Friday, I had this wonderful conversation with my friend Christina Whiteley, sharing the world about how we transmute fear into love so we can make a better world. That's called success. So ego, get out of here and leave me alone.
Well, and that's just it, right? It's so funny that you even say that because we had that example this morning. My husband has been really busy with real estate, and he's like, and he like let out a sign like, have you caught up yet? Like, are you caught up? Do you feel good? Like, we're heading into the weekend. We're gonna relax. It's gonna be amazing. We're not gonna work. And he's like, I don't think I'll ever be caught up. And I said, but what a great problem to have that every day you have somebody new to speak to. Most people are dying to have people to speak to. And every day, it's same with me. Like, I never clear my inbox anymore because I can't get to the people fast enough. But isn't it a cool thing to wake up every day and have people that want to talk to you, people that want your help, people, and so we just have to pace ourselves. When I learned that success was uphill all the way, all the time, I learned to pace myself, right? Instead of like, I got to do it all today. Right?
You can't. Success was not made. Success is an in the moment process.
Yes, it is.
It's a feeling of being in the flow all the time, and that's what we're talking about. When we let go, and we'll let go. When we let go of fear and get into the flow, we're in the flow of success, and that feels really good, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does, my friend.
So, if people want to find you, do you have anything you want to? If you have anything new coming out? You want people, an event or anything you want people to know about? Or
Ah,
how do people get in
well,
touch with you? What's going on in your world?
so I am available on social media. You can find me, Christina Whiteley, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Instagram and TikTok. I'm the Christina Whiteley, and so you can find me there. You can send me an email. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. So I run a business mastermind. I do a group coaching, help people break through six figures in their business, and I also do VIP days down here in Cabo San Lucas. So if you want some sunshine and want to come down and spend a day with me and get a business plan, then you're more than welcome to do so. But I'm just so grateful that I got to be here today with you, Martin, and to share this space and share this energy with you, and bring to light some of the things that, and really reiterate what you're here to share with people, right? That we are the universe, we are the creators. When you get out of your own way and stop operating in fear and start operating in love, the house shows up. Everything shows up that's
I
supposed to show up for you.
think the doer is always the universe. We're not the doer.
No,
The universe is the doer. And so the how, when we just be the universe, the doing will show up and show us how to do it by doing it for us.
that's right. That's right.
Along the way in that next moment. So that's a great word. Thank you so much, Christina, for being here. And I would say, I also would love to meet you. And if you like what we're talking about, I've got a number of programs. We've also got a nonprofit called the Diamond Mine Academy, where we're helping a bunch of my friends and brothers and sisters in Africa get the skills they need to get some employment. But if you'd like to find out more about what they're doing in Africa and that project, and you want to get to know me, you want to do some coaching, you just want to have a conversation, I'm easy to find. I'm Martin Cowart on all the links. And I'm also you can always find everything you want to find out about me at Linktree Martin_Cowart. So please get in touch with me, Christina. It has been an absolute joy to have you on the show today. I hope you'll come back again. Good luck with everything you're doing. I can't think of anything more fun than to come down to Cabo and spend a few days with you getting into our zone of genius. That would be
Right. Get on down here. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And man, what a gem you are.
You are so welcome. May love and prosperity prevail across all of the world today.